welcome to a special edition of 10 Minutes. For the past 6 years, the state of the Middle East has been in total chaos, with violence and arguments left and right, intermixed with attempted peace negotiations. These last few years, our news crew has been on the scene lickety-split to inform the world of what has been. Today, in 10 minutes, we recap over the issues of the past 6 years. And now, without further ado, the current state of the conflict in the Middle East. It is September of 2001. About a year ago, madness started. This madness I am referring to is in the Middle East, the area of Israel and its surrounding countries. The Prime Minister of Israel, Ariel Sharon, who wasn't at the time, but still is a key man, did a big no-no and visited the holiest site in Jerusalem, the Temple Mount. This set off a large-scale fight between the Palestinians and the Israelis to what the world calls the Second Intifada. People say Sharon's visit was what caused this violence. However, we have another source that says that isn't true. Cheryl McDabbert is reporting live in Israel. Cheryl?
Hello? Yeah, Regina, yes, I am here in Israel. I'm here with Marwan Barghouti, head of the Tanzim, a terrorist group, branched off of the Fatah in Palestine. Marwan, what do you have to tell us about this event?
I knew that the end of September was the last period of time before the explosion, but when Sharon reached the Temple Mount, this was the most appropriate moment for the outbreak of the Intifada. The night prior to Sharon's visit, I participated in a panel on a local television station, and I seized the opportunity to call on the public to go to the Temple Mount in the morning, for it was not possible that Sharon would walk away peacefully. I finished and went to the Temple Mount in the morning. We tried to create clashes, but we were unsuccessful because of the differences of opinion that emerged with others at that time. After Sharon left, I remained for 2 hours in the presence of other people. We discussed the manner of response and how it was possible to react in all the cities and not just in Jerusalem. We contacted all the Palestinian factions.
So basically, you had already planned this intense violence, but Sharon's visit set it off.
Correct.
Thank you. Regina, back to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. The Intifada was, and continues to be, an expression of a profound distress and frustration over the constant disrespect of the basic rights for Palestinians. This anger is caused by Israel's occupation of Palestinian land, and also the refusal of the right to free access to Jerusalem, and the refugees' lack of right to return. Now we are going to talk to Imad Falouj, who claims that the extreme violence began in July. Mitzi, speak to us.
Well, Regina, I'm here with Imad, who has some very interesting facts to share with us. Imad, tell us what you know.
Well, whoever thinks that this war started as a result of Sharon's despicable visit to the Temple Mountain is in error. It was planned since Arafat's return from Camp David, where he firmly stood up to Clinton and rejected U.S. terms. The Intifada has little to do with Sharon's visit.
Imad, thanks so much for your opinion and information. Back to you, Regina.
Thank you, Mitzi. Now we have just received information about the terrorist group Hamas. The Hamas military wing has played a major role in perpetuating over 2 years of arguments between Israel and the Palestinians. During this period, Hamas has been responsible for at least 200 Israeli deaths. Hamas is a terrorist organization that is backed by the country Syria. They are known as the crown jewel of Syrian-backed terrorist organizations because they have killed more Israeli and American civilians than any other group sponsored by Damascus. The capital of Syria, Damascus, has been the headquarters of the Hamas military wing. Syria and the lands they occupy in Lebanon have become major channels for transporting weapons and explosives to Hamas and safe retreats for training hundreds of its operatives.
Regina!
Cheryl? Whatever happened to that Sharon guy? Funny you should ask. In a special election held February 6, 2001, Ariel Sharon was elected Prime Minister, defeating Ehud Barak. He expressed his ideas about his uncompromising stance with Palestinian terror groups and Yasser Arafat and insisted that Arafat was an obstruction to peace and personally responsible for much of the violence in the Intifada. Sharon took a stand against terrorism, and from this received more support from the U.S. and European countries following the World Trade Center bombings in September of 2001. Sharon was able to form a close alliance with the United States because of their interest in fighting terror. I'm getting word that Mitzi is at a meeting site at the Quartet. Mitzi, can you tell us something about this organization called the Quartet?
Yes, Regina, you heard right. Early in the year 2002, the Quartet was formed to organize a Middle East conference sometime later in the summer of 2002. Although the Quartet never officially met, many members of the Quartet issued a statement here in New York. The statement's first paragraph targeted the idea of terrorists and suicide bombers, etc. The second paragraph simply explained the goals of the Quartet and that with the help of the United Nations, they expected to contribute to fixing all of Israel and Palestine's problems, which in turn would allow the two countries to live side by side in peace. The Quartet welcomed and encouraged Palestinian reform and the establishment of a democratic government. The statement also spoke of security devices for Palestine and felt strongly towards ending the war and settling this core issue through negotiations. It also claimed to want to give Israel secure and permanent borders and finally peace between Israel and Lebanon and Israel and Syria.
Thank you, Mitzi, for that really interesting, truly fascinating segment. We have to take a short break now to hear from our sponsors, but when we come back, we have a very tragic story to tell you that happened on March 27, 2002. This news broadcast is brought to you by Crest Extra Whitening. Also in part by Minute Maid Orange Juice and ABC Dance Studio. Welcome back. We'll just jump right back into it. Cheryl, do you want to take this one? I'm not sure I'll be able to make it through this horrible story.
Why, sure I can.
Oh.
There, Regina. Everything's all right. I'll be happy to cover this story for you. It's very important. Soon after the Quartet released their statement, the Passover Massacre occurred. On March 27, 2002, in Netanya, Israel, a suicide bomber killed at least 19 people, injured 172, and severely injured at least 48. The bombing occurred on a coastal region called the Park Hotel during the traditional meal that marks the beginning of Passover. The local terrorist group, Hamas, claimed responsibility for this attack. Unfortunately, the bombing came during an intense international effort to lay the groundwork for a ceasefire. United States Middle East convoy Anthony Zinni saw in Israel soon after the Passover Massacre, urging towards peace negotiations. Finally, Saudi Arabia unveiled a peace proposal at the Arab League Summit in Beirut, Lebanon.
It just gets you right there, doesn't it, Cheryl?
Right here. Yes, it does, Regina. Right here. Now, honey, why don't you just go backstage and get some water or something? We'll have Mitzi do this one.
Okay.
There's an organization consisting of Arab states which is known as the Arab League. Its membership is based on culture and its permanent capital is in Cairo, Egypt. Beirut, Lebanon is the 24th Arab League Summit, and there are many more scattered around the Middle East. The 7 states that form the Arab League define its main goals to be the following: serve the common good of all Arab countries, ensure better conditions for all Arab countries, guarantee the future of all Arab countries, and fulfill the hopes and expectations of all Arab countries. The day after the Passover Massacre took place, the Beirut Declaration was written up at one of the Arab summits. This declaration stated their concern about the things going on in the conflict at that time. It promised to protect the pan-Arab security and fend off the foreign schemes that aim to encroach on Arab territorial integrity. The declaration offers to extend aid to Lebanon, liberate its territories, and they reaffirm that peace in the Middle East cannot succeed unless it is just and comprehensive. And based on the Land for Peace principle, declaration has not shown much progress since it was written. Back to you, Regina.
Thank you, Mitzi. There's a lot that's been going on these past few years. It is now 2003, and there's still tons more to come. To you, Cheryl.
Yes, we are here with Ariel Sharon, and he has just been re-elected as Israel's prime minister at age 74. How do you feel about this?
I'm very confident that the Palestinians are not in good state right now. They are crumbling underneath themselves, and I feel the power.
What do you have to say about the October attack on the Islamic Jihad?
Well, my country was quite upset about the Passover massacre, so I decided to do something about it. I took an air raid over the Islamic Jihad camps in Syria, and I think the Arab world was a little shocked.
The Syrians must have been pretty ticked that their land was being attacked. However, it is known throughout the world that Syria is closely related to those terrorist groups, so I'm sure they saw it coming. Back to you, Regina.